Hello, what's up? That's it. That was pretty abrupt this evening. What's up, everyone? Welcome back for another live stream with me, Mike. We're here for you. So, if you want to learn a lot more, make sure you're engaging in chat. I'm sure we'll have some regulars pop in this evening, but please do ask questions tonight. Is going to be a really, really fun stream. It is going to be technical, so I'm going to give you a heads up. This is going to be technical. We are diving into DLLs. We're going to do a little bit of purple teaming this evening. We're going to look at some DLL variation attacks, and then we're going to look to see if we can investigate them as analysts. So purple team, so such a great night to join the stream if you're new here. I guess we'll go ahead and start out with, if you are new, make sure you do the like, share, subscribe thing so that you know when I do go live and when I do have a new video out. That's the word I'm looking for, video, when I get a new video out. Speaking of, I do have a new one coming out maybe this week, maybe next week. I need to get back on the video or I guess content creation train. Even though I put out content every week, I do like to do videos when it feels like it's something you guys should learn. So leave comments on videos, leave messages in chat to let me know, what do you want to learn? What's hurting you? What's preventing you from getting that foot in the door and taking your first step into the wonderful world that is cybersecurity? So that is the last announcement, except for at about 7:30. So we'll go ahead and get our lab prepped, get ready to go, talk through some of the concepts. We'll have a guest pop in here. He'll let me know when he's ready. Philippe is going to come in here and talk to us about his internship that we spoke about last week on the stream. So it's really good. I definitely want to learn more about what that is, his experience there, to see all about it. But let's go ahead and dive into DLL stuff while we wait. So again, super technical. Make sure you are asking questions so that I can get you up to speed. And if you have your lab set up, you will be good to go and you should be able to follow along. And if you are following along, make sure you ask questions so that you can do exactly what I'm doing, because there will be some issues. All right. So one of the fun concepts out there is called DLL sideloading, search order hijacking. These are very common techniques that attackers will use to subvert the defenders out there and make it really, really difficult for you to find them. And it's really fun, really clever attack that really blends in, acts as a persistence mechanism, also defense evasion, and it could also get them execution as well. So lots and lots of cool stuff that comes with it from an attacker's perspective. But what that means for you as a defender is that it's going to be a pain for you to investigate. So instead of looking at this trashy news here, let's go take a look at DLL sideloading. So that, let's see if there's any good visuals here. I was professional enough to test everything, or most of this stuff, before I got in here, because I haven't done it in a little while. But I was not professional enough to pull up fun little visual aids. There you go. That's the word I want to look for. So we're looking for a visual aid. Usually CrowdStrike has some good stuff. Lots of banners here. Get out of my way. Let's see. Can we find one? We don't have a good visual aid here. Sad face. All right. So one of the interesting things about it is that, for the most part, whenever you launch an executable, there's usually a number of DLLs that are required to run the thing. And this might be a good visual here. And those DLLs are searched for in a particular order. We actually talked about this a little bit, I think about a month ago, when we were doing DLL. No, we were using ProcMine, and I was showing you some of those defender tools out there. Well, this comes into play because it typically looks for the DLL in the current directory of your executable. And if there is a DLL with that name, then it'll attempt to utilize it. So that's where the search order hijacking comes from. There's a specific order that the operating system, so Windows, looks for your DLL, and it will take and use in however it wants, right? It doesn't really care what it is as long as it's named the same. It's kind of like if you're in a family with like 10 kids and your mom is always getting the names confused. That's pretty much what's happening in Windows. It doesn't care, just someone answer to the name and it will run it. And the power there, right? What we want to understand here is the power of that is that we can put a DLL there with our own code and force the operating system to do, well, whatever we want, because we're hijacking the code flow and saying, run our stuff, whatever it is, and then continue doing what you wanted to do before. So that is pretty much the concept of DLL sideloading. Again, I wish I had a really, really good example here. Maybe there will be one pop up that we can look at, but pretty common, powerful technique, like I said. There's surely has to be a really good DLL sideloading visual. There's just got to be, right? So yeah, so that's what it looks like. So how do we produce this effect? Well, let's take a look at Procmon. Let's just run some stuff. We'll take a gander at Procmon and see what it looks like in there. Let me remove my filter really quick because I think we have a filter in here that's preventing it from working. And let's just let it run. Clear. I think we still have a filter on here. And again, ask questions. Welcome, ask questions. And you will be able to learn much, much more if you do indeed ask questions. There we go. All right, so Procmon is a tool that allows us to see lots of fun stuff happening in the background. So this could be that it's writing files, creating files, modifying the registry, creating a network connection. We're going to see a lot of this stuff happening under the hood that we actually don't see ourselves as a user, but it is there, it is occurring, and we do want to see that. And we should, if it is working correctly, we should be able to see the DLL hijacking. We just got to eliminate some of the stuff here. Let me see if I can update my view for everyone, because this is probably really, really hard to see, I imagine. Let's see, font, maybe font. Let's see. Oh my goodness, that's horrible. Let's maybe dial that down a little bit. That is horrible. Like, how do you see this? Maybe we try themes instead. Does anyone have a favorite theme or something in here that's going to help us? Oh, it's just dark or not dark. So bad. So bad. Maybe 11. The problem is there's just not enough line spacing so that's easily enough readable. That's the problem here. Let's see. So we don't want registry activity. Don't want network activity. Probably don't want this either. And we could probably go ahead and pause this and we can look to see if we see any DLL, like where it's searching for the DLL in a specific order. And once we see it, you'll be able to see it. It should have like this cascading effect, kind of look like this, except it's all the same file. And we'll take a look to see if we can find it. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Hello, say hello in chat. If you're watching today, let me know what you came here for. Did you come here for something cool? Ah, here we go. Let's see. It is looking for, this is what we would expect to see. Typically something to this effect where it's looking in a specific order. Let's see if this is the one. I'm trying to remember what it looks like. I don't get into this every day. I was just creating files. So what we can do is I'll just kick up something that I know should produce what we're looking for. I'm just spinning really quick looking for it. Is that it? Nope. But again, that same kind of thing, except in reverse order. It should be like a cascading look because it's doing it in order like that is what it should be doing. All right, so we're going to kick off a program. So here's the fun thing. We're going to use Slack today because Slack is something that has been targeted. Slack, Teams, other tools like that, and they'll do a DLL, sneak in a DLL in there, and that creates persistence. So I mean, think about it. A lot of times we're looking for attackers who set up persistence, right? So we expect to see them in run registry or startup items or whatnot. But if they're using something like Slack, that's already a startup item, the persistence is already there. They just got to slide in that DLL and that's it. They're already persistent. So again, super, super powerful method here to do the fun stuff. Let me try one more time. Do Slack. And there we go. Starts up. Is this in order? Let's reverse. Will it not let me reverse? Maybe not. Okay. Let's see if we can find Teams in here or Slack. Well, we can just add a filter. Should work all right. Right here. We'll just add one where the process name is, I think it's just slack.exe. Add, apply. There we go. See if we can find it. And again, we're just going to scroll through here to see if we can find what I'm looking for. I really wish I had a really clear example for you guys. Here we're looking for something. Let's see what this is. But here's all the DLLs we can see that it's looking for. Excuse me. And once we slide in our DLL, it will be one of them. Oh, will this be one? Maybe. Man, tough. But this is kind of annoying, isn't it? All right, so we'll go ahead and stop this. I really wanted to show you a good example. So what we're going to do is this one here. So we'll stop up here. So we're going to replace version.dll with our own version today. And what you'll see is instead of it loading from system32, it'll load ours. And then you'll probably see it load this one again when we do the proxying version of this. So there are variations of this. So you have the standard search order hijacking. Just drop it in the directory, it'll load it. But sometimes with things such as version.dll or some of these other ones, when it loads that DLL, if it doesn't have the exports it needs, the main binary needs, it can crash, and so that the user will notice something's wrong. So someone came about and developed a technique called DLL proxying, where, well, instead of it not having the exports, you replicate all of the exports and you say, just go to the actual one if you need some functionality and run my code first though. So it'll run your code first and then it'll just forward all the calls to the real DLL. And then the user doesn't notice anything different because it's just passing those function calls to the real DLL, which can of course perform those tasks that are required. And that's it. You don't know any better. You don't see anything different, and it works like magic. So let's see what should happen. So, oops, cancel. I want another notepad here. All right, so I'm just going to put here what we expect to see. So we're going to run Slack. And this is going to look for version.dll. We'll say should be in system32. Then it's going to use version.dll for function calls. This is what it should do. That's it, pretty simple. Okay. Now, we have Slack loaded. I'll go ahead and drop the link in case you want to try it out yourself. Again, I highly recommend you do this in a lab so that I've already taken a snapshot in case I break anything, which I should. So this will be Slack, so you need to install Slack. The next thing that we need to do is that we need to install or download this tool called Spartacus. So you may have seen the show on HBO, good show, good show. But this is going to help us do this DLL hijacking stuff. Thankfully, someone picked this up. So this used to be run by someone else. It became an unsupported tool, meaning like it wasn't being actively developed. Oh, Accenture used to develop. Cool. But now it's being maintained, kind of. It hasn't been touched for 2 years. RIP. But it still works. Over here on the right, if you don't want to compile the C# code, you can just download it under releases and pull it down. I definitely highly recommend when you use tools, you compile your own, just because, you never know what gets slipped into these things. But you can easily compile, you just need to install a tool to do so. So something like Visual Studios or whatever else, whatever your favorite IDE is. All right, so you need to pull Spartacus down. So go ahead and install Slack, pull Spartacus down, and we may need to turn off Defender for this. So this is a very base version of the attack. It's going to get caught by Defender, or it should. And we're not really looking to bypass Defender at this moment because we're just trying to understand the base attack. I know some people are out there like, if you're a real hacker, you would bypass this. Sure. But we would spend a lot of time probably tuning this thing and working out even more advanced concepts before you actually understand this basic concept itself. So we're going to start here, and then maybe we'll do some bypassing AV later. So just hang in there. All right, so we get those going. And what I ended up doing is, so I unpacked Spartacus. I have it here. I also have a directory. I just call it DLL project, where all my files are. And this is basically where we're going to put the new DLL and any other files that we want to create with Spartacus. This is where they're going to go. So it's just organizing our work a little bit, make things easier to find. Say hello if you're just joining us. Say hello in chat. If you're any of my guys watching, say hello as well. Say hello, everyone. So let's talk about some of the stuff Spartacus can do. So we have the typical DLL hijacking. So this is the very basic version. We also have a COM hijacking. I actually haven't done any of these before, but we could play around with some of those. And then we have the DLL proxying. So this is what I was talking about the last one, where it forwards all the calls. And we're going to start off with this one because I know it works and it doesn't crash, which is cool. I think I did find a vulnerable one and the one above, and we'll try that one next and see if we can target some other files. We can also sign stuff if we want. We can do quite a few different things in here. So feel free to read the manual if you'd like to learn some other things that you can do here. That works fine and dandy. But for us, we're going to start with the proxying piece. And so when we're doing here, we want to generate a solution that redirects all exports. So this is saying any type of thing you're looking for, function called the version.dll, go ahead and send it to the real one. That's okay. I don't care what it is, just send it over there. It will handle it, which works because it's less crap for us to deal with, believe me. All right, so to get this going, we'll just copy this. And you know me, I like to prepare my work. And we'll just go ahead and build a command here. So this bottom one is the command that we're going to use. Let me zoom in for you for my blind folks. So this is the command here. And it is going to do all the fun stuff for us. What I'm going to do is copy this so it's all one command. And all I did different on this was I just modified the directories here to my current system's directories, and this is going to produce what we want it to produce. Okay, so make sure this matches wherever you want to send the output to, otherwise you're going to have to find it. All right, so in this case, let's walk through the configs. We may or may not get the ability to execute them yet before our guest comes on, but we'll see. Holler when you do pop on here, guest. So first thing, this is just a binary that's running. Cool. We're telling it what mode to run in. So this is proxy. We're telling it a DLL, what DLL to do, and this is the original. So we want you to proxy to version, like the real version.dll. This is where our solution file is going to go, and we're telling it to override it if it exists, be verbose, let us see what's going on. And then external resources, I don't know what that is, but we can look it up real quick and see what it means. Oh, that doesn't help. It doesn't tell us what it means. Trying to see if it's somewhere. It may not be in here. That just may be the name of the file because it did produce an external resources file, which is fine. Cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that. So here it is. Just put it into our command line and we hit enter, and we can see it does some work here. It's generating all the files we need to create the DLL. So let's go ahead and take a peek in here into the files. So this is our files. This is the refactored version. And then we just want to pop into it and check it out. Look at the solution file. And we want to open it up with Visual Studio. I pre-installed Visual Studio on my system because I prefer it over Visual Studio's code and any other IDE, or IDE, not IED. And use whatever you want. I don't care. So hopefully I don't break anything with this. If not, we'll recreate it. Now, I will say if you're running an IDE inside a VM like we're doing here, you may run into issues in terms of resource consumption. I have a pretty beefy computer, and I'm not super worried about it. However, if you are, you can do this on your main operating system if you need to. Just don't execute anything on your main operating system, please. Well, it should be beefy enough to work. I didn't have issues earlier. I may just need to give it more resources. That's all. So we'll give it a second. I'm like leaning out of the camera. What's going on here? It's Thursday, everyone. It is Thursday. Have you had a good week, folks in here? What is something good that's happened to you this week? Let's celebrate it together. Maybe it doesn't like the fact that I have two open. It could just be way too many resources, which is fine. So let's exit out of this. All the time. I always have problems. My mom always called me a problem child, which is okay. I'm okay with that. All right, so we have our file over here. I'm trying to open up the C++. So there are variations of DLLs, right? There's different types of languages that can be used for it. But in this case, we're going to use C++, and there's a very unique there's a very unique style that they are in, and essentially you can, they're basically like triggers that will cause your code to execute. And so my last one, I guess I should have left it up, but it wouldn't work. Stuff like attaching a thread or closing out a process, something like that, you can get your code to execute. And all we want to do is just put our code in there to execute at some point, and we can just do something simple like calc or whatever, something stupid, and we'll be able to see it. But if you wanted to just take it further, you could do like a metasploit payload. You could do whatever you wanted in there to make it work. This thing is dying. Holy smokes. Let me see how many resources I have on this thing. I don't know why it's struggle busing over here. It's like flicking all my stuff around, man. All right, let's see. What do we have? We got 16 gigs. We only have two processors. That could be a pain. Well, I'll fix this. Our guest should be here in a moment. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to turn my VM off. Give me a little firepower over here, and we should be good to go. Hello, chat. Hello. If you're new, welcome. Again, we're looking at DLL hijacking. We're learning a new attacker technique. Oh, now it loads. Look at that. As soon as I wanted to close it all out. We'll give it some more processing power. We'll be good. We shall be good. But what's going to be cool is you're going to see how tough it is to find it in the logs as a blue teamer. And we're going to find some ways that we can. We may check out a forensic artifact that will help us discover it as well. Give it a couple of cores here. Give it 4. Basically, just double the power, as Arnold would say. And it should work. And then we can play with the file and see if we can't get it to do the thing. All right, I need to log in now. All right, welcome. If you're just joining us this evening, I promise we're going to get into some cool stuff. Well, we're already doing cool stuff, but we'll get into even more cool stuff. I can't type and talk. All right, cool. We're logging back in. We're logging back into the VM. How to restart it, give us some more resources, because it was being bad. It was being disappointing. All right, let's see if Visual Studios will work. Maybe. Let's see what else has happened this week. Lots of good stuff in the news, lots of fun stuff in the cybersecurity space. Did anyone read an article that really stood out to you this week? And you were like, wow, this is pretty interesting, or this is a cool variation of something you've read before? Anything like that? We got any good articles you can share? We're working over here, folks. We're really working, I promise. Let's see. DLL main is what we want. Cool. We'll wait for Philippe to pop on. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen one more again. Here we go. So I really hate when the view does that. There we go. I like to be in a little circle on the bottom right. Hello, Harem. Welcome. Welcome. Another familiar face. All right, so this is what the inside of the DLL looks like. So remember I was telling you it needed to proxy all the exports. That's what it's doing here. So this is exactly what you're seeing. So this is how it does it. It does it at the top. and it says with version, if you need any of these, we're going to send you to the actual version. You see that? That's what it's doing there. Now, this is the fun stuff down here that I was talking about. You see these different kind of events, these different triggers that could occur. So if we drop any of our code under any one of these, whenever one of these events occurs, whatever one we place it under, it will launch the code that we want to run. So if we do process attach or thread attach, then it will work when we start up the process or thread. If we do thread detach, it'll trigger it at the very end. Same with the thread detach and process detach, it'll execute it at the end. So pretty interesting there. Haram says that he saw the Nordstrom email was breached, sent out an email cryptocurrency scam to their subscribers. No kidding. That sounds like a fun one. These are like the craziest ones to me, Haram, where they get email access and they almost have that same stuff as an insider where it's more trusted. So you're more likely to click on the stuff or trust the stuff because it's coming from like a legit. You can look all day to look for something that's out of place in like the email domain or email user, and it all looks good. So it's super powerful. That's why I'm pretty adamant with my customers when I do pen tests. You need to do MFA because folks, if you're still not using MFA, you got a lot of problems because someone could take over the email and do this type of thing for you. And then you're just losing all that trust from from your users, your customers, your people, whoever trusted you. It's a big hot mess, but that's a cool one. Nordstrom email. Very interesting one. All right. So let's modify this to do something bad. What do we want to make our DLL code do? Do we want to do the classic execute calc? Do we want to start up Notepad? Let's do something simple. Do we have any suggestions? Haram, is there anything fun you would like to do here? You want to pop up a message to Nordstrom? What would you like to do here? We'll give folks a few minutes. And when we do this, we'll probably do thread attached here. And we'll probably go ahead and open up Edge, and we'll ask Edge to, not Edge, we'll go to Chrome, not Chrome. Jeez, my brain is dead at the end of the day. Go to Google and AI mode. Let's see, for a C++ DLL, add code to print hi Nordstrom in a in Notepad? I don't know. Sure. Let's see, void print. So look at this. See, this is the switch. And so they basically just add the function here. And then this is all the stuff that it does here. It's actually using an API itself to do this. It's making it pretty hard, but luckily ChatGPT can be used to do all the hard stuff for us. We just want to make sure that we just copy it correctly. And we will add it up here. And we'll come over here and we'll just take this. So this is a function call. In case you've never seen it, there are a bunch of different languages. Languages will do it differently. So pretty similar context though. You have the name of the function and you provide a way to give it argument. So in case you want to provide stuff like additional information for the function itself, this is how you would do it. It's a bunch of different languages. Again, very similar, very similar. So this should be everything we need to do. This code might not work. I'm pretty rusty. I've been a manager for too long. I haven't had to write a DLL in a hot minute. But we'll go ahead and we'll build the solution. I want to mark it as release. Sometimes I've found that I have issues if I don't move it to release. See, please install. Alternatively, may upgrade the current studio tools by selecting project menu or right click the solution, then retarget solution. Let's do that. Let's see if we can retarget solution. There we go. This was the question it was asking earlier. There we go. We'll apply, see if it works. Basically, there's specific syntax that one may use versus the other, and it's asking if we want to upgrade it. Of course, we want it to work, and we'll just make sure it's going to work. So build complete down here. You can see, let me increase my size of my window so you can read this potentially. I don't code very often on screen, so I'm trying to figure out how I will make it easier for everyone to see. Does anyone know? Definitely open to suggestions here. View, I don't see it. Maybe file? Sad face, sad face. Okay, Philippe. Yeah, just hop on there and then you'll pop in. You just need to make sure your microphone is working and then we'll be good to go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the directory where our stuff is at. Open file location. Boom, here we go. And we have x64 here, release version.dll. And what we need to do is we need to find where Slack is installed. And we'll go do that as well. See if we can find it. It's probably under the user. So let's see. You used to be able to right click these, right? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? I hope not. I hope I'm not crazy. Let's see, open. Doesn't help. Let's go into, where do we want to go? Probably PC. Probably users, probably this one. And we probably, unless, so usually it installs under the user, maybe in program files. That's a rude noise. Let's look it up here. Hey, Harem started his first information security class this week. Awesome, congrats. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the fun. Did you learn anything new this week? And what did you think about your very first class? So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to find Slack. I don't know where it was installed at, sadly. So we need to figure that out before we can do any of the targeting. But once we find that, we'll be able to do stuff that will give Philippe some time to get ready. He may be having issues. Philippe, let me know if you're having issues getting onto this, and I can certainly help. This is a shortcut, so we could probably follow the shortcut to wherever we need to go. Let's do that. Although, I don't see the shortcut, do you? That's funny. App data, local packages. That doesn't look right. That's Kibana. Kibana. This is 0 bytes. Where did you go? Where did you go, Slack? Let's take a peek at this. Where is, maybe properties will show us. White hat versus black hat. That is a pretty classic one. So pop quiz, do you want to be a black hat or white hat? There's only one answer. This is kind of interesting. I'm not sure why we're struggling to find this guy. So typically, you're given options of where you want to install Slack, and a lot of times it's installed at the user level. In this case, I don't really know where it was installed. It is saying there is at least something here. So I need to open with why is there not an open with here? Oh, okay, there you go. There you go. Oh, waiting for me to accept. I'm supposed to accept someone. Let's see, where is it at? Here we go. There's Philippe.
Hello?
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, great.
Awesome. There we go. Welcome, Philippe. Thanks for taking some time to hop on here. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was at the gym. Now I just took a shower. Now I'm right here.
He was getting swole.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good. You need to work out. Everyone
yeah,
needs to work out, get away from the computer.
yeah. Long day. I mean, today was a pretty busy day in my IT help desk role. So we're, because we're basically finishing our project with MFA setups,
Mm.
and we're basically sending out a lot of emails to a lot of users that haven't set it up yet. So yeah, that's where we're working at.
Okay. Yeah, I see you putting a lot of stuff too about your projects and stuff on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, mostly it's IEM stuff. Um, it doesn't really excite me, but I guess yeah, it's not exciting at all. But the thing about IEM is there's a lot of opportunities out there right now, and it's not really as competitive as trying to get in the SOC right now. And especially like in my IT help desk role, it really aligns a little bit with IAM because we're managing a lot of users, especially in Intra. So that's why I'm kind of like pretty interested in it. But the role by itself is not really interesting. But definitely, definitely when I was doing some stock stuff, I really created some, let's say, a passion for it. But for this year, I really wanted to focus a lot in IAM, especially because of this role that I have right now. And um, my contract is ending by the end of this month, so I'm crazy looking for other opportunities. And especially here in Tampa, there's a lot of them, but I'm still looking for the best one. And right now, I'm in this position right now.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds great. Let me kind of give a little bit of background and please fill in any details just
Yeah,
so people know, like, who's this guy that just popped on here?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been watching you since you started. Like even I think I started watching you since your first video and since your first live. I think obviously, I think there's a lot of people that come from Ben, right?
Mhm.
He's a big influencer out there. but I think he's in GRC, right? I'm not really into him because he's in GRC, but yeah, especially when I was starting to get interested in cybersecurity, I was watching a lot of his videos, a lot of his content, and then you came in, and then you talked a little bit about your experience, um, and I think the first video I watched with you was you ranking certifications with him, and then you really talked about the Blue Team Level 1, which is a certification that I'm really interested in taking it, but it's $400.
Yeah.
So I really got to consider that since I'm here in Tampa by myself and I have all these bills to pay, my contract is ending, so I got to really watch out on what I'm going to invest in. So um but when you talked about the Blue Team Level 1, and I knew the certification before, and I always valued because you're basically doing hands-on, right? It's a hands-on certification instead of all these like security pluses that I took. I have the security plus, but it was pretty annoying to study because you got to memorize all these acronyms all the time. And then they talked about the CYSA, and I guess CYSA, yeah, CYSA plus, right?
Mhm.
Um, and they talked a lot about that, but after the security plus, you just kind of get bored on learning all these acronyms, all these what's it called? You're basically not getting hands on.
The theoretical
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
just theoretical stuff. You're not getting your hands on with the tools and stuff. But yeah, but basically, I'm in my first IT job. This is my first tech job.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, been pretty busy so far with, especially outside of work. I've been really putting a lot of time in cybersecurity overall. I'm really interested in getting back to doing blue team stuff, but it's just right now I'm really tunnel vision in IAM. And if I don't really focus on one thing, if I'll focus on two things at a time, it won't work, right? It won't blend in like I'm thinking about. But sometimes here and there, especially at nights, I really like to hop into try hack me and keep doing the rooms and keep practicing over there because yeah, I've basically created a let's see, a passion for blue team stuff, for analyzing stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it about me.
Yeah.
Graduated bachelor's degree in cybersecurity.
You sure did. Yeah. We celebrated, was it a
Yeah,
month or so ago? A couple
yeah,
months ago?
yeah. And recently, last Sunday, I got the SC300 certification,
Hmm.
which is a really valuable certification in IAM because it covers everything in the architecture side of Entra. So it's a pretty annoying test, not gonna lie, but it's a lot of hands-on because you actually have to get into Entra and see how the settings works, how the groups, how the management, how the users works, how the admin roles and stuff. So you have to really get comfortable with that and understand how the whole process with identity works inside Entra. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. That's a brief.
Yeah, well, definitely appreciate it. Intra is an interesting area. I've had to learn a lot more with a lot of more customers being hybrid and having a
Yeah,
lot of stuff in Intra. So I have to learn more so I can attack it better.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm having to broaden my toolkit to encompass
yeah,
more cloud stuff than I'm used to, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah.
Um, yeah, cool. Yeah, thank you for hopping on here. It
Mhm.
is, yeah, what's funny is Ben betrayed us because he used to be on Purple Team with me. So
Oh,
I taught
really?
him when he first came up. Yeah, I was a manager, he was a new person, and they have like a rotational program at the place we work together. And
Yeah,
so his next rotation was GRC, which is where he is now. So he went away from doing all the fun stuff with me to
yeah,
going over there. But I left that place anyways, and now I do the socks stuff again.
yeah,
But yeah, so he betrayed us. What are you gonna do?
yeah. Yeah, I mean the boring stuff. I mean, especially for IAM, it's pretty boring, right? But the thing is, you have the opportunity to job stack, right? Contract stack, basically,
Hmm.
because everything you do in IAM, you can automate that. You can make a 8 hour workday turn into 2 hours, right?
Yep.
And you can't really do that in SOC because an alert might pop up and uh, you have to analyze the situation. But in IAM is a bit different. But yeah, I've been really working around, especially in this IT role. I've been really working with security overall, like teams, in IAM and with the IAM team, and yeah, I've been really in contact with them, always talking. They're now implementing CyberArk,
Okay.
which I'm really interested, but you can't really get hands-on experience with that. Only like the actual company that buys the service can actually have a hands-on experience.
Hmm.
You can get certifications, but it's all theory, so not really interested right now. Okta is really it really has, I would say, yeah, it has hands-on. I think I'm really working towards getting my hands dirty in Okta, but like I said, I'm just a beginner, and it's not really that interesting. Okta Intra, it's basically the same thing. You basically do the same stuff that you do, but yeah.
Would you say a lot of the stuff you're learning in IAM translates directly, or would you say it's just it kind of touches some of the stuff you would be doing in a SOC,
Hmm.
like, or would you say it's pretty one to one, like it's going to be super helpful to understand what you're doing on the IAM stuff to be a better SOC analyst?
Yeah, I think that with IAM, especially with automation, you'll get really comfortable with the command line.
Hmm.
And with that, you analyze a lot of logs, especially in there's a section called ID protection
Hmm.
where there's like, let's say a user tries to break into your system, and then you'll it'll basically alert you if the user is trying to break into the system, and it will generate a lot of logs and show you that this user is trying to brute force in the system, right? So we definitely see a lot of logs. We definitely analyze a lot of stuff like that. Sign in logs, audit logs, right? Especially for the audit logs because we really want to know which user has a privileged account, and we want to see if the user is compromised, right? And audit logs, especially like audit logs, it really shows us that um, the account is probably compromised because he's doing a lot of privileged stuff, and we kind of analyze these kind of logs like that.
Okay. So really identity focused more than
Yeah,
anything, not endpoint specific.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a specific area that folks need to learn if they haven't seen it. The identity, because especially in cloud environments, everything is hybrid now. So if you
Yeah.
don't know how to follow those accounts around the network,
Mhm.
you're going to be in trouble for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, interesting. Cool. You're here for a reason. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
reason today.
Yep.
But we can talk about whatever you want.
Mhm.
The floor is yours for sure. But for the Login Pacific, right, is the name of it. Tell us about so what I'm interested in from a hiring manager's perspective.
Mhm.
It's touted as an internship. I don't see it as an internship yet. So what makes it an internship over just a
Mhm.
lab? Because that's what I'm having trouble with in my brain, differentiating it from just lab work
Mhm.
versus a normal internship.
Yeah. So since when I started in Cyber Range, I'm not there anymore because I think they're charging like $130 a month. So
Mm.
I'm not in there anymore. I'm not really interested in SOC stuff. I'm really focused in IAM, but
Hmm.
I've been there for, I think I started in March last year and then stopped in October, I think. And then there were a lot of users, but it wasn't enough until you had a whole environment full of people that generated a lot of logs.
Hmm.
So I guess Josh, he didn't really, let's say, he didn't really expect that a lot of people would join his program. But when I started, it was mostly about labs, right? He
Hmm.
posted the videos, vulnerability management, and then there was threat hunting, and then incident response. All these kind of scenarios, he would do the videos on how to do it with Sentinel, with Tenable, with Microsoft for Endpoint. So he would do these videos, and then we will just follow along,
Hmm.
and we do the labs with him. But I guess when I started to think about getting out of the program, a lot of people were joining in, and with that, it generated of a lot of logs, and
Hmm.
a lot of people got a lot of experience, and they started engineering some stuff inside Login Pacific, which that generated a lot of logs, and people started doing threat hunting. So he started doing threat hunting with the people that are in the program. So that eventually creates a lot of projects, a lot of labs for people, and it kind of simulates a real environment at some point. So I get from the perspective, from your perspective, that it's not a real thing,
Hmm.
but I guess for the people that don't really have enough experience, right? They don't. Unfortunately, it's been really rough right now for, especially for me, for beginner people, for people who are trying to get into the space. An opportunity like this to be inside a program like that, and they'll help you out with resumes, they'll help you out with projects. I really learned how to use GitHub because of him. So, yeah. So I see where people are coming from with being against the program, but we're expecting that when we're applying to jobs and we have that in our resume, that the recruiter won't notice that it's not a real internship. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing really much to like. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, it's real experience. We're actually doing some stuff. We're protecting the company. No, it's not. But there's a lot of threat hunting scenarios. There's a lot of events that happens, and I think it's really worth it if you're actually trying to go. I'm not. Josh doesn't really know me, so I'm not trying to advertise his program. But for people that have never joined the industry, have never tried anything, and they really want to get some experience on their belt, I think that's a good opportunity, honestly.
Yeah, and for me, like you guys, there's a handful of you that came from those cohorts, and you all sound really excited about it. So I want, from my perspective, right? I don't want to rule stuff out, right? If
Mhm.
it sounds like it's useful, awesome, right? That's the most important thing, is that people are
Mhm.
getting information from these experiences. That means more to me than,
Yeah.
whatever specific words, right? Words are
Mhm.
just words on a resume. But I was just concerned for you guys because it didn't seem like it was an internship, but you're putting it as an internship.
Mhm.
And from my perspective, I wasn't sure if it was. It sounds like maybe it's super quasi still in my
Yeah.
mind, but I can see now, like I thought everything was simulated before, but it seems like a mix of simulation
Yeah.
and a mix of like real traffic as well, generated by the
Mhm.
students. So it seemed like it's like a blended environment.
Yeah.
But from a from like a business perspective, I would be curious if anyone's had issues where their resume is not looked at, because a lot of times what people do, like businesses will go to validate that experience,
Mhm.
and then if they're like, yeah, this isn't like a like they can't
Yeah.
validate it, and they'll be like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
it's like people at one point were putting like fake degrees on their resumes, and then they would go to validate it, and then they're
Mhm.
like, uh-oh, now you're in
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah.
But some
Yeah.
people do, some people don't. I think it just depends on the company and how big of a player they are in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for people that are putting this type of experience as a non internship, like a actual experience, I don't agree on doing that because it's not an actual experience, work experience that that you're having. But I guess if people are putting as internships, um, and they actually repeat the labs all the time, and they actually participate on threat hunting all the time, and if they do that several times until they are comfortable talking about it, I guess it's worth putting that on your resume because you're doing it many times, and you're getting comfortable until you'll be actually able to speak on it. So um, that's what I think about it. But yeah, like I said, it's not a real work environment, but um, I would say like comparing to like the Try Hack Me or these other platforms, the only con I would say is that you don't actually use other tools, but Tenable and Sentinel and Microsoft Defender for Endpoint and what is the other one? I'm looking at the description because it hasn't been a long time that I've been in his program, but yeah, you're really limited about tools, and I guess that Try Hack Me and Hack the Box they have a variety of other tools that you can learn how to use it. So that's the thing though, but I guess in terms of like community communication, right? Threat hunting, prizes all the time, and sharing which role you got. If you have a job, what can you help the next person how to get the job? You can help other people with their resumes. So those are the things that I really enjoyed with this community. And I've seen there's a lot of people that put a lot of work in there, and especially there's a lot of people that have done a lot of labs and they're now really comfortable. So now they're helping Josh make a lot of logs for the people to participate in threat hunting and try to find the the suspicious logs, right? So those are the things that I really enjoyed about the program. But yeah, there's a certain limitation with tools that I really wanted to use Splunk or Elk or what were the other ones that I really wanted to do? Um, yeah, mostly was Splunk and Elk, but um, yeah, those are the things that I think about the cyber range overall.
Yeah, you know what's so from my perspective, and this is just my 2 cents, it doesn't to me it doesn't matter what you come in tool wise. It's how much depth did you get with that particular tool? Because once you get to a certain point, it doesn't matter what tool you have, as long as you
Yeah.
understand the fundamentals, it's just slightly tweaking the syntax or whatever.
Mhm.
That's what matters. And it's the same with everything. Like programming languages is the same. I think I can work in 8 to 10 now, where one used to be a really tough problem. When I started in a SOC, my first year, we were working in 7 different SIMs. Like that's whatever the
Mhm.
customer had, we had to work in. So we were
Mhm.
all over the place. But most shops are just one. But again, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Processes look the same as long as it's a Windows host, a Linux host. It's
Mhm.
like the foundational stuff. As long as
Yeah.
you can do that, then you can translate whatever you're trying to do into that new tool. You
Yeah.
just have to know all those foundations. What's a
Mhm.
packet header look like if you're doing network stuff, or what are the fields in a log and a sysmon one log or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I wish I was a better community builder.
Yeah.
I would love to have a community like that, and I try to do it here as well. Try to get people to kind of cheer each other on because having a community of people that you can work with and vibe with and trade ideas
Mhm.
with definitely makes a night and day difference.
Yeah.
Every time that I've had like a study group when I'm doing a certification, it's always learned so much
Yeah.
more having a group
Yeah.
versus kind of doing it on my own.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, if you're watching this, please, jump in the community, have discussions, ask people questions. I have a bunch of friends that I taught in there that are happy to answer from their perspectives and stuff. People I grew
Mhm.
up in cybersecurity with, people who just are getting in, like yourself, who have experiences. Everyone has very valid, very real experiences that can
Mm-hmm.
help shape someone else's career, their
Mm-hmm.
life, all those things. So yeah, I love that aspect. Um, we always seem to do it wherever I'm at in a role. Um, but online's super tough, the virtual stuff. I think Sierra's in here from
Mm-hmm.
Gary's group, Simply Cyber. They do such a fantastic job of like merging the virtual with the IRL type
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's really good perspective. Yeah, I think for me, one of the struggles I had with the course as well is just where do you put it on the resume, right? Is it because it's like quasi internship? I don't know that I would put it there because I think that leads to trouble. But the training, it most certainly should go to training.
Yeah.
Um, with the labs and stuff, I think you're one of the ones that are posting kind of the walkthroughs, or are you doing other walkthroughs as well?
What I am, you mean?
I thought it was you that was posting walkthroughs on LinkedIn that you've done with, or no, you had the GitHub walkthroughs that you were posting. That's what you were doing.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how he was telling y'all to do it? Do the things, write them up, put them in GitHub, and then put them on your resume? Was that one of the tips he gave y'all to get stuff looked at?
Yeah. So the thing about GitHub, he only helped us with two projects,
Mm.
basically, with the vulnerability management one,
Mm-hmm.
where we basically installed Tor browser
Mm-hmm.
in a virtual machine, and we basically scanned the virtual machine, and then we try to, I think we try to automate the forgot. This is a long time. I haven't been
That's
with
okay.
sock stuff, but yeah, we try to automate the problems, the situations that we had in the virtual machine, so we
Mm.
can block Tor browser, right? And then with that, he made a lot of videos about what's a usual meeting look like when something like that happens, so we can simulate ourselves and understand what happens in a real environment in a meeting. So that's what I was really interested in because he, like I said, he's pretty experienced, like you, right? He has been in the field for like 20 years, I think. I think he worked as a SOC manager for Microsoft. So you kind of give a lot of credit for these type of people, right? Because they know their stuff, right? They know what happens in meetings and stuff. So and then there was another project that he put. I think it was the threat hunting one.
Mm.
I won't remember what I did in the project. I think I already deleted it because I can't really talk about. So, but yeah, he basically showed us how to use GitHub. He
Mm-hmm.
showed us how to uh, make a project right in GitHub, and every time we make a project, we put in a Excel sheet, and we will share with their team, and that would count as internship points.
Ah.
So that's where the internship part comes, right? Where we basically put the stuff that we do in the community. Let's say we help somebody in the community because they're having trouble they're having issues with their virtual machine. So we go there and then we try to help the person out, and then we get points by doing that. And then you'll get into a certain amount of points where you can get the internship. Um, you can get the internship experience and you put it in your resume. So that's one thing about the program that I really enjoyed because everybody was participating, everybody was helping each other out, and that was a big incentive to keep using the program. Um,
That is a really clever way to do an incentive program.
yeah,
'Cause that
and
I think that's where it falls in a lot of communities where it's hard to get people to interact because there's no real reason to, right? Most people
yeah,
are just going to pop in there and say something if it either it really resonates for them or they need something, right? Most people ask questions because they need something.
Hmm.
There's nothing that really gets people to interact frequently. So that's a very
Yeah.
interesting way. Maybe I should do something like that. Like, I'll be you do some good stuff. I'll be a reference for you.
Yeah, and then once you reach a point where you can put the internship in your experience part in your resume, um, and let's say a company that you're applying for, and then they want you to have the reference, you give them the email, the HR email from Cyber Range,
Mhm.
and then they'll ask you, hey, do you have your Excel sheet? And then you'll just send them, and then they'll confirm the the reference. So that's another thing that I really enjoyed. I got the IT internship using their reference. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so they're really helpful with that. They have a whole team helping other people get their internship experience.
Very cool. Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, you definitely filled in a lot of blanks for me tonight. I definitely appreciate it. Is there anything that's on the top of your mind you want to ask me? I'm all ears. I'm all yours. I mean, is there anything I can help you with?
Let's see.
You got a list back there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean the thing is, like, if I were 100% in sock stuff, I would definitely have a lot of questions, right? But since I'm going towards a little bit in the IAM side of things, and I already basically, I basically have a community around the IAM, right? I'm basically posting a lot of videos in TikTok and Instagram and sometimes in YouTube.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely kind of like not really interested in focusing a lot in sock right now, but I will definitely lean towards a little bit probably next month
Mhm.
in sock stuff because I really enjoyed the time that I was learning a lot of sock stuff. So that's some things. I mean, questions. I don't have a question right now. I mean, um, obviously I will ask you, oh, is this certification good? Is this certification bad? But I'm not really putting that. I'm not really putting certifications as that important right now. I'm really trying to get hands-on stuff. But obviously, I'm really trying to get certifications that are really hands-on, like the Blue Team Level 1, like these vendor-specific certifications in IAM. So that's what I'm really focusing on, trying to get as much hands-on experience as I can. But I will definitely be leaning towards a little bit in the Blue Team side because I really enjoy learning these things. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oof, I got off easy tonight, man. Oof. Yeah. No, whenever you are ready to kind of pick up your journey again, maybe you,
Yeah.
you start enjoying IM or whatever, feel free to reach out. Definitely would like to help you get on your way if you want to get together and work through a good roadmap to get you the experience and knowledge you need to be
Hmm.
competitive. Happy to help you with that. If you want to hop on live like this and go through the labs with me, we could do that. I offer
Yeah.
people all the time. No one ever wants to take me up on it. I guess they don't want to look silly.
Oh, I'll do it
And
every Thursday.
people don't want to look silly, I guess. But looking silly is part of the fun. You got to make mistakes to get
Yeah.
better. No one ever got better by never making a mistake.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I'll hop on every Thursday. I don't have problems with that. Especially with me that is really passionate about doing these try hack me rooms all the time, and I really enjoy them. They're really fun. Compared to the IEM stuff, they're really fun.
I
Um,
feel the same way about IAM and engineering. I hate engineering as well. Can't stand
cybersecurity
it.
engineering.
I can't stand it. It's so boring. The problems are like the same almost every time. Like
Yeah.
with SOC stuff and IR stuff, purple team, red team, problems
Yeah.
are different every day. You don't have to do the same thing every day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm really like interested in cybersecurity analyst roles
Mhm.
because they basically cover everything around cybersecurity, and I'm seeing like a lot of cybersecurity analyst roles that are really involving with IAM stuff.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm thinking about a little bit. Oh, since I have a little passion with SOC stuff, why not, kind of lean towards a little bit cybersecurity analyst positions, right? Because I can combine that with IAM and IT overall experience. So why not?
Yeah, they're kind of funny. A lot of people think when they're
Yeah,
looking for jobs, they don't realize the difference between a cybersecurity analyst and a
yeah.
SOC analyst. So depending on the organization for sure, but a lot of times they're kind of like a hodgepodge of duties for a cybersecurity analyst. So you may
Mhm.
see like some, for those out there looking at them, there could be GRC, could be IAM, maybe a little bit of SOC stuff, but they're quite a bit more, I guess, well-rounded is a word, but they definitely dip their toes in a lot more stuff
Mhm.
um, than just a SOC analyst. A SOC analyst is like straight up, I'm investigating, I'm looking at alerts and stuff. These guys are doing a lot
Yeah.
more variety of activities.
Yeah.
Neither good nor bad. It just depends on you. Like some people, like when you see an engineer, like they love it.
Yeah.
Good. There's. I think I'm a firm believer that there's something for everyone in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Big
I
believer in
mean,
it.
cloud and engineer is something that I wouldn't like to do. Because I think Azure is pretty boring. Like Intra is already boring, but Azure is way more boring than Intra. Because Intra you get to interact with a lot of stuff with a lot of logs. So at some point it's really exciting to do some labs around that, but Azure, can't stand Azure.
Same my feeling with AWS. I haven't done a ton with Azure except in pen test, but I've had to build a lot of stuff in
Yeah.
AWS. Like for
Yeah.
my company, I build all of our infrastructure
Mhm.
for our pen testing stuff. So
Yeah.
hate it. I hate it. I can't stand it. Creating routes and VMs and
Yeah.
all. I can't. I don't want to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Quick
Well,
question though. Quick question.
yep. Too late. You said you didn't have any questions. What do you got, man? What do you got?
Yeah. So I've been taking I would say like 30 minutes a day to review some Network Plus stuff because as I was doing my degree and I was studying for Security Plus because I really want to get the Security Plus. I think I really because I got the Security Plus with no lot knowledge in that Network Plus, so it was pretty it was pretty difficult to understand a lot of terms because I didn't really understand a lot about networking. But now I'm really focusing on Network Plus. I don't plan to take the certification now, but I'm seeing a lot of content. So, do you still recommend like trying to learn a lot of network stuff, even though I can look at a log and understand a little bit of what is happening, especially with TCP, UDP, right? HTTPS, GET requests, post requests, all these kind of things. I really do understand in Wireshark, but there's a lot of things that I'm lacking in terms of network.
Yeah, so it depends on what you want to do. So you really don't need as much networking as most people think to do sock work. So if that's
Okay.
where you want to go, it sounds like you got a pretty good fundamental understanding. So just understanding like the three-way handshake, how does DNS actually work? What's a subnet? Pretty basic concepts like that. How does a firewall like work?
Yeah.
How does it actually block? Why do we have multiple at different layers? What's a
Mhm.
DMZ? Why do we design it that way? If you have that, you're golden unless you're looking for network specific things. So, what happens in a real SOC, and this is kind of how my SOC and every SOC I've been in it goes, is tier one, they know a little bit about everything, right? And they're just starting to get their feet under them. They're trying to
Mhm.
figure out what they want to be when they grow up, that type of thing. When you
Mhm.
start getting up into the tier two, which is the intermediate level, now they start specializing in a specific area. And so we have quite a few areas. So it could be networking,
Mhm.
where you can go super deep in networking in terms of understanding how to break down packets themselves, what types of attacks. So C2s do a lot of funky stuff with that.
Yeah.
Adversaries do a bunch of funky stuff in there. Um, you could get into that, but you could also do forensics. You could do malware analysis. You could do cloud analysis. So there's a whole smattering of different specialties people start to really gravitate to more than anything, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I really like this. I'm going to go here. Um, like me, I came into cybersecurity like doing software. I was like, I'm always going to be a pen tester, so that's where I went. After I was in the SOC first, and then I was like, well, I really like this. And when I went back to the SOC, I really dug into forensics because no one else was doing forensics, and we needed it when we were doing investigations. And then I was like, oh, I really like malware analysis. No one was doing it, so I was like, I'll do that too. Why not?
Yeah.
Um, and so I just kind of started gravitating to those. But yeah, I mean, the benefit of having all these different people, right? So some people think I got to learn all this stuff. No, you don't. You got to have the fundamentals, and then definitely start specializing a little bit.
Mm.
Um, because the benefit of having such a big SOC and such a big team is you can say, hey, Bob, I know you're our network guy. Can you help me understand this piece of the attack? I'm really not sure what's going on here. And you have a discussion and you work with each other to figure out the full narrative.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the cool part is you got all these different opinions, these different views and whatnot, and you can solve the
Mm.
problem. So I think you're pretty good. That's why I personally don't recommend people taking the Linux Plus or Network Plus after either the
Mm.
Sec Plus or CYSA is because typically you get all of the information that you really need at the fundamental level in the Sec Plus or the CYSA
Mm.
Plus. Everything else you'll learn on the fly. Like some people think, oh, I have to take like Windows courses to be an admin. Like they think they have to be an admin before they can investigate. No, you don't. No, you
Yeah.
don't. You learn everything you need to do at the fundamental level there, and then when you start getting your hands dirty, getting in the labs, you start filling in all the important blanks. Because the issue is when you start doing all these courses. So like some people also think, hey, I should take a Cisco or Juniper course, and because I want to learn more networking. Well, now you're spending like what 3 to 6 months studying this thing, all these details you're probably very rarely going to use, and you could have used that time to be a better investigator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just a trade-off. You have to just decide,
Mm.
how much of this content am I actually going to use in the job I want to go into? And could I do that more efficiently with another course?
Yeah. And do you think that if I get the blue team level one, do you think I should get the CISA plus?
I don't think so. I would say if because you have your Sec Plus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't get any more CompTIA courses.
Yeah.
I wouldn't waste the money. I would I always say get one theoretical and then focus everything else on hands-on.
Yeah.
Because the theoretical stuff isn't going to get you the job. It's going to help you understand what you need to know to start doing the hands-on stuff. Because when you're in an interview with someone like me, I'm going to be asking you questions that if you don't have that hands-on experience, you're not going to be answering very well.
Mm.
Or you're going to have very surface level answers, and someone else is going to have deeper answers, and they're going to get hired over you every day.
Yeah.
Hands down, every day of the week.
Yeah. My next certification is going to be the AZ900 because
Okay.
I'm getting a discount.
Yeah.
That's why, and I understand a lot about Azure, so why not? I'll save a little bit, and then next month I'll be thinking about something big.
Well, that doesn't hurt because it's a Azure course, and a
Yeah.
lot of people are looking for cloud stuff on
Yeah.
resumes now. So it doesn't hurt. Like I wouldn't necessarily tell people to go out and get it like it's a need to have, but if you got it, it's not going to hurt you. I think it's going to make you a little bit more competitive, but
Yeah.
definitely if your goal is to get in the SOC, getting those hands-on certification, got to do it, got to spend time in the labs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well.
would tell you it is almost hilarious and it's pretty bad at the same time how many people come into interviews. I was doing probably 4 or 5 a week at one point in this past 6 months when we were on a hiring spree, and people couldn't answer basic stuff. It was bad.
Yeah.
And they couldn't give you
Yeah.
detail of like, well, why? Why would you decide to do this? I don't know. What would lead you to go down this route, or what, talk me through your process, because that's what I'm more about. I want to know that people understand it so much and they can logic their way through an answer to a question they may not know. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
think about how many times are you going to be in the real world, no matter what you do, whether you're a mechanic, a plumber, whatever, where it's going to be exactly like it is in your study materials or your certification. Rarely ever.
Yeah.
But if you understand the material enough to be able to logic your way through new problems or variations on the problems, you're a shoo-in. You are golden. You're a great
Yeah.
hire. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I was one of these people when I was studying for the Security Plus and doing the my bachelor's degree. I would be the type of person that will go to an interview for a SOC interview and not know how to answer the questions on how to do this, how to do that, because I was really focusing on a lot of theoretical stuff
Mhm.
and I was not getting my hands dirty. And I think that what happens is a lot of people when they try to do these like try hack me rooms and then they start using these tools, right? I think they really get intimidated by that because they
Yeah.
see a lot of these logs, a lot of these things happening at the same time, and they really get intimidated. I was one of those people, so right now for me it's getting a lot of fun because for me it's pretty boring, so sock stuff is becoming fun for me. But I definitely understand these people that they really focus on the security plus, right? Really focus on the CYSA plus, all these theory stuff, and then they actually think, oh, now I can start applying to these jobs, but you haven't done anything,
Yeah.
and
I
you
won't
haven't
even
done any.
look at it. I won't even interview anyone if all I see is a
Yeah,
Sec Plus. I was getting so many people with just those coming into my inbox from the recruiter. I was like, look, if they don't have labs on their resume, I don't want to talk to them.
yeah,
I'm over it. I've got too
yeah,
much junk to do than sit here and talk with these people.
yeah, yeah. So
Because
definitely
it was
these
a fail
people.
every time, a hard fail. I would get like four questions in, and it's like, well, I can't ask any like non-surface level questions because they have no clue. Like they were struggling with surface level ones, so it's like, I got to spend an hour doing a technical
Yeah,
interview with 15 people, and I know they're not going to be good fits. No way,
yeah,
I'm good. I got too much work to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it sucks
Definitely.
for people to hear that, but it's the truth. I have a job to do. I'm trying to find people that are going to help me fulfill the needs of the business. It
Yeah,
is
I
what it
mean,
is.
I think we really appreciate you, right? Because you're one of the people that notice like these try hack me's, these hack the boxes, right? These all these platforms that help people get their hands dirty with that. But I'm seeing like a lot of like SOC managers. I even talk. I don't know if I talked with one of them. They know about try hack me. They know about hack the box, but they always come up with, oh, it's not real experience. So about this and that. So I'm like, how are we supposed to get experience, right? How are we supposed to get to know these things? So that's why I really appreciate you because you get to notice these things and actually use for yourself and do these labs in this live. So you help people out with that. So that's really good about that. But yeah, a lot of people they get really intimidated about these logs, like these PCAP files in Wireshark. They get intimidated with the command line all the time. So definitely I was really I was really intimidated by the
It's
command
scary.
line. Yeah. But now I'm really like learning a lot of stuff in IAM, how to provision users
Hmm.
and how to create users, create groups, create this, create that. So it's really fun to do a lot of things in the command line, and once you pick up the pace with it's really fun once you know how to use it. You feel like a wizard. So yeah, I think people are definitely intimidated by that. In a program like that, like Cyber Range, right? it really helps. He really helps people start from the bottom, right? We all these like little scans that you do in vulnerability management with Tenable, and then he starts escalating the level of things, right? So that's why threat hunting is the last thing, because threat hunting is the hardest one, right? Because you have to go deep in these logs and always try to find the threats, right? So that's what I really like about his program, and yeah,
Yeah, maybe I should start doing themes with mine and throwing some stuff out there for people to work on. Yeah,
yeah, you
like
should
that's the hard
definitely do that.
part for me. Like I rely on people like you to help me figure out what's more digestible for people
Yeah,
because I start, I've been doing this for so long,
yeah,
and it's like, well, I try to see it through your eyes, but some things get lost. Like, oh,
yeah,
this is easy, and it's like, no, it's not, dude. No, it's not. Slow
yeah,
down.
yeah. You can throw me some labs and try to help me out with that. I can definitely do that.
Yeah, I might start doing that. I might do like a weekly thing or like
Yeah,
something, some kind of like problem set or something, and get people because like one of the things people haven't been taking me up on it either is like, hey, follow along because I want people to ask questions. Let me help you work through the labs, but maybe it's still a little bit of the intimidation
yeah,
factor and whatnot. But
yeah. And guess
hopefully
what? You
people
don't
get
even
over it.
you don't even have to do interviews anymore. You just have people proving you that you can that they can do the job.
Hey, believe it or not, I was telling folks like, why do you do all the streaming stuff? I was like, I'm trying to create people that I would like to hire, so it'd be a lot easier for me. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
it is somewhat selfless. I enjoy teaching people. I have so many. I definitely declare them my friends now. We've been in touch for a long time. I've taught, and I enjoy seeing their growth and the stuff they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it also helps me beneficially because I've had such a struggle to find really good candidates. If I can create an environment where I can help people develop and they are ready and I can bring them in the door, hey,
Mm-hmm.
win-win all the way around there for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad business strategy, but it is what it is.
You can make a project with me. I'll be your project. Like
Okay, come on,
the next SOC analyst project.
get Philippe a job.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty interesting that I
Yeah,
think
I
you'll
love
have
it.
enough experience to obviously do a thing like cyber range, like Josh did.
Yeah, I was playing around with the idea. I'm just running out of hours in the day,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
because I work full time, which turns out to be a 40, 50, or 60-hour week sometimes. And then I have my own company. And then I also have subcontracts for another company that I do. So I typically
Yeah.
work easily 80 hours a week doing stuff. So it's like, all right, how much time? Like today, actually, and for folks watching, and like I will finish the lab before I hop off tonight. I promise. We're just
Yeah.
having a good conversation right now. Um, but like I finally got on the day like 30 minutes before to make sure things are straight. Like I'm trying to be a little bit more professional, so I'm not having to troubleshoot live all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Like I get it can be beneficial to watch someone solve problems, but a lot of folks don't care. They just want to learn that thing they're trying to learn. I
Yeah.
get it. So yeah. Anyways, moral of the story: I don't have a ton of time, so I would love to do more, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
One day I'll
Definitely.
retire and I can do all the teaching I want and not worry about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Josh did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I,
true.
I don't think he works anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just riding around the world on a yacht, I guess. If only we all could.
Yeah.
But cool, Philippe. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you hopping on and talking with me. Uh, I need to get back onto the lab, but feel free to hang out. We're doing some DLL hijacking and proxying tonight, which should be fun. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Feel free to reach out anytime.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely pick your brain on stuff to help make things more approachable. That is my
Mm-hmm.
goal. To not only make it more approachable but get people ready for the job too.
Yeah. I definitely gotta switch my focus 100% in sock stuff so I can be, you know, tunnel vision on one thing.
Well, whatever's making the money, you know. So
Yeah, that's the thing though. That's the thing about IEM. That's the thing.
yeah, well, that's all right. Well, again, I appreciate it, and yeah, we'll keep the conversation going, man.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the conversation. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, awesome. All right, folks, we're going to dive back into the lab. We'll let Philippe get some rest. I'm sure he's been working hard today. But let's crack it back open and let's see if we can get this bad boy working. All right, so for those of you who just popped on, so that was Philippe. He was here answering some questions about um, one of these things I've been seeing folks put on their resumes where they were getting an internship with another content creator. And I was just curious about it. And thankfully, Philippe was there to save the day, give me good information about it, give me a better understanding. So when it does pop up, on resumes in the future, which I'm sure it will. Sounds like he had such a big cohort. Then I can talk more intelligently about that experience and help better guide people of how to communicate that on their resume. All right, so back into the board here. We're doing DLL hijacking, DLL proxying, DLL sideloading, all that family of attacks. We're going to do that here. Then we're going to look into the VM, or not the VM, our SIM, and see what it looks like to a blue teamer. So I know I'm usually off at 9, but we'll finish the lap. So I'll be on as long as I need to be to finish this. So feel free to hit questions in the chat. If you do have questions, please ask questions if you have them. I'm here to make sure you're learning. To recap what we have going in here, this is our DLL. And what we were doing, we were trying to find where Slack was located on this host. And maybe I'll just reinstall it, perhaps. But we need to figure out where Slack is so we can put our DLL that we have here into that same directory so we can get a good execution. So pretty straightforward. And once we get that, we will be good to go. Open file location. Here we go. So it is under program files. We may run into issues, maybe. Maybe not. Here's a version. So what we should be able to do is just drop version.dll in here. I need permission to do this. Oh, that's interesting. So we could probably do a move and drop it in here. Because it did Windows apps. So this is a new way it's doing directories. So that's interesting. All right, we'll open up a command line and do a move. We'll do it as administrator so that we have the permissions to do so. Usually what I like to do is install stuff into the user themselves because it just makes it a lot easier to manage what's going on. So like, here's the Slack application that we did. Uses all system resources. I was seeing if it would give us the option of whether or not we wanted to do a user install or what. It did not. Sad face. All right, so I think I'm trying to remember what the syntax is. We can just cheat and ask because I never move files. So move file from one dir to the other Windows. For Linux, it's just MV. I thought it was move. It is move. So we just didn't have, we could use robocopy too. Could be. Yeah, I appreciate you too, Philippe. Definitely appreciate you. So let's see, where do we want to go? Let's go ahead and craft our command here. So it is indeed move. So we need to say move And the command syntax is to move all destination files. We don't want to do that. So this is the target file. It looks like this is the destination. Okay. So what we need to do is this is the directory. Oops. So we don't want to do that. We want to do this. So copy this because this is going to be the destination. And if there's any spaces, we need to account for them. We'll do that with this just in case. And then we need the source file. So the source file is going to be the actual DLL, which is over here. So we're going to say this. We're going to put it in quotes as well here, and it's going to be called version.dll. So we should be able to run this. It should move the file. And we may have to do it in an elevated prompt, which we do have here. We should be good. Access denied. Interesting. So it's not allowing us to move the file. That's bizarre. Maybe we can change, or maybe there's a different way to install Slack. Let's see, there may be a standalone version. Let's see. Problem, see all download options. Let's see. Download Slack for Windows. Maybe we'll do the legacy. Ah, there we go. There is a legacy one. Let's try that one instead. Because it's just being a pain. And I'm just trying to make sure we drop it somewhere. That's going to make it easier for us to execute. Huh. Is this a standalone now one? This is interesting. This is very interesting. Any suggestions of how to get it in that directory? Because we could do Teams as well. Teams might be in here. Let's try this, actually. Let's try, if this is launching, if we put version in there, it should technically work unless they've packaged up all the DLLs with it. I don't think it did, but we can see. So let's go ahead and execute again. And we should see some kind of execution. And we did not. We should saw Notepad open up with something in it. It did not do that at all. Why don't we do an easier one where we just have it create an empty notepad. That might be a little bit easier to do because this doesn't launch it, but it does look for it as a window. I would have expected to see it land in here if it would have worked, but I'm also not sure that it's working as we intended to work. So this is us just troubleshooting this tool here. Trying to think of something else that may have a standalone and that uses version.dll. Let's see. Let me get Procmon going as well, because Procmon will tell us where it's running from, and that's the issue. We don't know where it's pulling the version.dll. It could be built into it. Yeah, it might not have to, like, externally. I don't think that's the case, but I also don't necessarily know why it's not reaching out. see what it's doing. Is it running? It is running. Capture all the problems tonight. So it should be slack.exe, notepad.exe. So it should be popping up when we do this. I'm not sure why it's not. So the application is pretty big. 143. So it's Slack setup, actually. So maybe it is calling the original one. Let's do an uninstall here. Do a reinstall. I'm trying to, oh, yep, that was it. Programs. So probably going to have to close that. Let's go find Slack here. So uninstall. Yep. So the issue, sometimes you usually have like a standalone app or the ability to specify where you want to install an app. It makes life a little bit easier. But in this case, it's been a little bit of a pain. I'm trying to control what's going on here so that the attack is a little bit more stable. Let's see. Is it going to give us the choice to install? Let's look at Task Manager. I wonder if this is Slack setup. What's the image on this? No, but slack.exe. Let's see if it brings up what we're looking for here. It does not. Interesting. Oh, because we have all these other PIDs. Let's get rid of this stuff. This is all from last time, I believe. Get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's apply this, see if this works. There we go. All right, we got it. So we do see it pull in this version here. Question is, where is it launching from? So app data Slack. I wonder if it is in an app data now. Because that's where I was expecting it to be before, was app data. And it exists under the users. And so if you don't know, you do have to show hidden items to get to it. And which one is it? App data local. Slack. Here we go. All right, so this is where it's running from. We should be able to do what I'm trying to do now. Should be able to. All right, so let's copy this, put it in here. Beautiful. So this is the Slack directory. We have version in here now. We should, let's go ahead and clear this, and we should see something actually work, perhaps. It didn't do what we wanted to do over here, but we'll check to see where it's loading version.dll from. And that should allow us to do what we need to do. I'm going to keep that up for a second. So the problem is, in order for it to load version.dll, we may have to, okay, here it is. So it isn't loading ours now, so, interesting. Version.dll. It should work. It's not working. I don't know why. Let's try. Maybe something is wrong with it. Let's do a very basic one. Let's see. DLL to open Notepad. We'll do this and we'll modify our functionality in here. We'll just add another function and we'll construct it. Pretty good. So process attach. Pretty simple. May need to add another include, which is fine. So we'll do this instead. So this one's just going to be an artifact for now. We might try to use it later. Doesn't really matter at the moment. And then we just need to make sure we include all the includes that we need. Otherwise, it's going to yell at us, which is never good. We'll save, we'll build, make sure it completes. And we got a successful build, perfect. We'll go back over here to release. It should have just updated. Interesting. Where did it do it at? Let's see, DLL project refactor x64. I don't know why this DLL is, the date modifier is so old. That's a little bizarre. So let's delete this. Let's rebuild. I could have did a rebuild. But I just want to make sure. So these are all new, but this isn't. This date modifier on this is just weird to me. And I don't know why it's dated earlier than these, because it should be. It should work. Let's do a rebuild. Okay, let's see if the dates change. Because when you start doing exploit dev, you'll run into issues where you're using old files, and so you never know if your stuff's actually running as you intended. So that'll be the problem you run into. And of course, we don't want to be troubleshooting the wrong thing. That will definitely get you into trouble. So we'll paste this in here. And we'll go ahead and close out Slack. And we'll go ahead and run it again. And we'll check out, we should see another notepad open up. And we do not. So something may be goofy. I'm trying to remember if I had to do anything special to get this to work back when I had it working. I don't think I did. But we're also not seeing Procmon. do an erase. Do an erase. Let's rerun it and watch very closely, see what it's doing. So here's version DLL. Here's this one. Look, so it did load it. Then we do see it touch this one. So it is loading ours, if you see that there. Slack app, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's running a different one. Let's see. App version.dll. Do we see it? Let's paste it in here and see what happens. I don't see it. I would expect to see it in here. Ah, now it works. Okay, cool. So it does work now. How about that? All right, so we just had to put it in the correct directory. So it wasn't searching in the current directory. So it wasn't a side load, but it was still a search order hijacking because it was checking here. And so we just dropped it into this directory right here, and then it worked. So if you didn't believe me, let's do it one more time. We'll look down here. We'll see a notepad open up, and we do, of course. You see it pop open, and which is wonderful. That means it's working, and we can close all these out. And now that's what we call a proof of concept. That shows that, hey, our DLL search order hijacking works, and also our DLL proxying work, because this pops up and the application doesn't generate an error. So what happens if we do something and we don't have all of these things up front? What happens? Let's find out. So we'll do this. We'll close it. It should cause a crash or some kind of bad issue. So let's build. And we have a successful build. We'll take this now and we shall move it over into Slack. And remember, we need to go into this directory. We need to delete our old one, and we will paste our new one in here. And now we'll start Slack up again, and we have a crash. So you see this? This is a crash because look at this. It needs entry point for get file version info. Hopefully you can see this on my screen if you're watching. But it needs this, and if it doesn't have it, the binary can't function as intended. So this is a key. There's something going on a user system. They know something has occurred. But if we fix that, we have smooth operation like we did before in our POC works. So let's close this. But we're going to run it one more time, and I want you to see, and I think it worked the way I think it worked. We see, okay, it crashed without even doing Notepad. Okay, I thought Notepad had opened up. It did not. So what we're going to do is add our exports, and you can see the export in here too that it was looking for. So it is doing what it's supposed to do. Let's go ahead and rebuild solution. We will copy it back over, and then we'll make some modifications. We'll make sure it works first, and then we're going to make some modifications and do some more fun stuff. Well, not Slack. We need this. This is what we want. All right. So let's copy that. Let's put it over here. Let's run one more time. We got our notebooks, and it opens up a bunch of times because it's every time, where did we put it? Every time a process is attached, we get a new one. So, and it could be doing that on the back end quite a few times. Slack, every time essentially every time version's called and loaded, like the process is attached, then it's going to do it. So we don't really know how many times, but we know it's 3 times there. But you may not have known that unless you investigated further. All right, so let's just do print notebook. Let's see if we can call this right after. It should work potentially as long as this code actually works. Where we say that, I mean, we can do it back to back so that every time, or we could do it within Notepad. There's a bunch of different ways we could kind of skin this cat here. It's kind of, and I'll say that about any time about like C2 or anything we do. It's our solution is only limited by your imagination. So keep that in mind. Think of Hook. You know, imagine, Peter. Imagine. You can do some cool stuff if only you imagine. All right, so here we go. This is here now. We don't have any notepads open. Let's see what happens. So we're going to go back, run Slack, and look at that. Hi, Nordstrom. So our code actually did work. And notice that our notepads opened up before Slack opened up. Remember, it's when it loads the DLL and makes a call, which happens at the beginning of a process. So we click slack.exe. It's got to do a bunch of stuff on the back end before we even see a GUI. So that's why we see the notepads pop up before anything else. So this is cool. This is our DLL sideloading. Let's take a peek in Procmon to see what happens. And we should be able to see it down here somewhere where it's running our version .dll. Oh, excuse me. I'm tired. I'm always tired after work. Does that mean I worked really hard? I don't know. It might. Make sure you tell my boss I'm tired every day before I do this because I worked really hard. If you do that, then maybe he'll say something nice about me. I'm just kidding. My boss says nice stuff about me all the time. At least when I'm in earshot. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's fire Slack off again. Here we go. And what we're going to look for is that version DLL. And we're just going to show you, look, this is ours right here. Check that out. See how many times it's calling us? And look, so it's create file, query basic information, close file, create file mapping, file mapping. So it is playing with our version.dll, and notice that it is indeed calling ours. Whew. I am on a roll yawning now. Okay, so we have ours. Now, this is the part where as an attacker, you can do whatever you want. You can make it do some fun stuff. You can do a C2 or whatever. But remember, when we load in Slack or when we install Slack, it's probably making it a very persistent thing. And so as long as it's calling our Slack from our user account, it's more than likely going to be calling our DLL and running our payload every time Slack starts. So that's the cool part here. All right, so here's the even cooler part. Now we need to find Slack. So let's do that. Let's see if we can figure out what it looks like for Slack to execute. So we have file creation. These are temp files. We don't really care about the temp files. We do care about other files being created. We'll probably see our file actually get created. Let's see, and I forget, maybe it is and. Okay, and version.dll. I don't use Elastic every day, just so you know. All right, so here's our file create. So we would see, so from our perspective, right, if we're a SOC analyst, we would see that a file is created on this host in a directory that a file shouldn't exist. Because remember, We placed version.dll here in this directory. One didn't exist before. We are expecting, if Slack is to work, that it calls a different one. So this is all very unique, and these are our initial attempts. We put it in the wrong location. These are the correct attempts. Whew. Man, okay. So let's see if there's anything, and there may not be. There may not be anything here that tells us this is bad. And traditionally, you don't see a lot of file creates in organizations in the real world unless they have an EDR. So I have Procmon running, I'm bringing it in, but my logging's pretty minimal in this environment. In the real world, I probably wouldn't have this specific log enabled in an enterprise environment. If we're talking about hundreds of thousands of systems, or even thousands, I probably wouldn't be bringing this in. It would cost a lot of money to the organization. So something I would exclude, but EDRs do this natively for the most part. So something else to keep in mind here, right? I want you to think about, let's look at this one here. So we have a process create. There should be a sysmon event 1. Event code, where's it at? Event category, event code 1. So it is event code 1. We should also see a SHA hash in here. So I'm going to just get more rows. We should see a SHA hash. And so this is a mistake a lot of analysts make, right? We say, hey, Mike, I'm just going to check the hash of this, and I'm good. I'm going to catch your payload. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going to copy this value. You're going to paste it into VirusTotal. I think it's .com. And what do you think it's going to tell you? What do you think it's going to tell you, chat? You paste this in here. What is it going to tell you? It is going to tell you that there are 0 detections, that it is indeed slack.exe, and that there's some dates of creation time. It is a valid file. It is saved. So you may think you'll catch me with the process create hashes, but you're not. You're not going to catch me. The only way to catch this, unless we have logs, and maybe we can play around with the ideas of how do we catch this without knowing this is a bad directory, is that we catch other stuff going on. So like in this case, let's see, let's add time. So what would we say? Pin field. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Yep. So we want, no, I don't want to filter for value. Let's see. Nope. I'm trying to figure out how to add the value. There we go. This is what I want. Column. We also want event. So we'll add that. And we'll also add, I'm trying to think of a field that is pretty common across the board. So here we go. And what else can we get rid of? We could get rid of network connects, get rid of that. Process change of file creation time. Let's see what else we can add here. Related hash. We want, trying to think of a way to see what other types of things. So we have file creation time, and we want it in order. So this is in reverse order, by the way. So process create. Let's see. There we go. And this is going to be slack.exe. So process change a file creation time. This is winlog beat. Let's see what else is in here. This is roaming Slack. I don't think anywhere in these will it tell us that it has touched this DLL. It more than likely won't. We'll look through all these really quick and see if we see anything related. So file directory. So these are just the temporary files that are pretty common, pretty common to anything. So believe it or not, a lot of temp files are created just to make stuff work in the Windows environment. Like if you look in Procmon, we'll see all kind of registry modifications, temporary files created, files access all over the place. There's a lot of noise. That's why we don't bring it all into the sim, because it'd be too much, overwhelming, expensive, cause a lot more problems. So we have to be very targeted with the information we want to bring in here. Let's look up something else really quick, right? Let's look up Notepad. Let's see what the parent process is for Notepad. And what I'm going to do is we're going to refine our columns just a hair. And I'm going to remove this column because we know what we want. We're going to remove this column as well. We'll keep time. And what I want to do is I want to bring in process executable. Sure, we'll bring that one in. And let's see, parent process command line we want. And then I also want command line. So command line should be up here in the C's. Maybe not. We'll search for it. Let's see, parent command line. Command. Process command line. Here we go. All right, so let's get rid of this. And so I don't think it added the command line I wanted. Process command line. There we go. Okay. So what we can see here is that Slack opens Notepad, right? So the hard part for you is to figure out, well, why is Slack opening up Notepad, right? A lot of times we think that this process itself should have, and really it did. Slack loaded the DLL into the process, so slack.exe did, but we don't know what's malicious here. We see Notepad being opened up. If we looked up the hash of Slack, it's legitimate, so it looks fishy, and we really don't have an explanation looking at it like this. So it's pretty bizarre. At this point, we have no clue what is going on and why it would be doing Notepad. So we would have to have something tip us off at this point. So it could be that there's odd network connectivity or just weird processes being created by Slack, such as Notepad here, and we'd have to do other things. I will say I don't think we have logs that are going to help us tell the story in our sim currently. We'd have to add some other ones. But I just wanted to point out DLL sideloading is very tough, and it requires a keen eye to catch. Now, EDR tools may catch some of it, they may not. I have been able to successfully bypass things, various EDR tools with a similar technique. It's all about your payload, crafting a good payload that's not going to trip specific things. Now, there are things in here, and I think we have it turned off, right? Yeah, we have it turned off. There are things in here that we can do, such as identifying prefetch files and looking at those files to see that the DLL was loaded from the wrong directory. But again, we would have to know that slack.exe should not be loading a DLL from this directory. That is the only thing that would be tipping us off. Do I expect you to know that? No, I don't. I don't expect really any analyst to pick up on that, unfortunately, but you should at least understand how to investigate it later, because things such as this, like C2s in general, probably every environment has a command and like C2 traffic going out of it, unfortunately. when you're in the industry long enough, you are always working off of the assumed breach perspective. We assumed every company is popped. Every company has a hacker inside of it. We just haven't found them yet. And it is probably true for the most part. But once your ears perk, you got to be able to dial in and look into this stuff. And if you are able to identify it, so let's go find prefetch. I forget the thing off the top of my head. Let's see, prefetch file location, prefetch file location. We'll say C Windows prefetch, okay. So we're gonna go to that. C Windows, so this is a forensic artifact, by the way. If you haven't heard of it, I'm not surprised. But they exist. And what we would do is we'd come in here and look at slack.exe, and we would find the one that was last modified, and that's the one we should probably be looking at. So one of these is created for each location of Slack that's executed. So more than likely, ours is going to be the very, very last one, and we should. So 901, 901. So we should be able to look at something like this. Now, Eric Zimmerman has some really good tools to help us analyze this. And he has a very good prefetch tool, easy tools here. I don't want all of them. Those are the manuals, is open source GitHub here. This is what we want. Here we go, here we go. That's the manuscript. I don't want that. Eric Zimmerman, tools. Could probably just pull them all down. Where is, let's see. This is a problem with me where I know what I want and I'm not going to download it. Prefetch tool. Let's see. Here we go. So Windows Prefetch Hardware supports all known XP to Windows 10. I think this is a Windows 10. Let's download PE command. I thought he had like full releases there, but I don't mind doing this. All right, so we have our tools in downloads. Extract all. This should be a command line utility, which is fine. Don't be scared, folks. We have a command line utility. And here it is here. We just probably need to compile it. I thought they were already compiled. But it may not be the case. We'll open, we'll compile, hopefully. So any questions for anyone? Are we understanding what DLLs are and DLL sideloading, how it works? I should probably start putting together some of my own graphics that better articulate how this stuff works. Because I understand just listening to me talk about it isn't very good. So I apologize. Hopefully I'm not making folks just sit over there and drool. Because I really want everyone to understand how these things work. And you need to. You need to do your job well. So CD, let's see, users, TCS, downloads, PE, there we go, LS, or dir, CD, what is it, PE. All right, there we go. All right, this is not the correct directory. It should be this. Download master bin release, net 462. All right. So PE CMD. Let's make sure it works. We're just going to run it, make sure it works. Let's see, file to process. We're going to say tech F. We are going to give it, I know usually I build this, that's okay. Oops. And we are going to make sure it's the very last one at 901. So it should start with 61AC, 61AC, 8E, CE, nope, CF. Yep, that one works. All right, so this is what the output looks like. I know, looks amazing, doesn't it? And this is what we wanted to see. So this is our Slack thing running, but this is the magic here. So ignore the beginning of this where it's talking about volume. This is like the device, a way it's annotating device. This is really just C. Think of it as C drive here. So users, TCS Tech R, app data, local, Slack, app 4, right? This is exactly where we place our malicious DLL, and bingo, our malicious DLL. How about that? So if we were suspicious of this and we didn't have any other logs, this may be where you could prove that. So believe it or not, a lot of folks in forensics will pull all the prefetch. This is a standard. If we anticipate something bad has happened, we're going to pull all this. We're going to pull a lot of other ones, but this is one of the ones. Now, there is another type of log called like a module load that may indicate that this DLL was loaded into memory. So that's something you'll see it in EDRs. I believe we can do module loads in Sysmon as well, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm too tired to figure out how to do that. So we're going to end this today. So this was a little bit of a wild ride. We had a little bit of a start. We had a nice little break in the end. Then we finished up with a strong technical. You got to see a true attack occur, and we looked into it. And you realize how difficult this is, hopefully, to look at. But it's very fun, and we can continue to build on this knowledge and get you guys understanding what you should be doing to be an amazing analyst. So thanks for joining this evening. Thank you very much for hopping on here, Philippe. I definitely appreciate you. Feel free to reach out. Anything I can do to help with your transition from this contract to something else, perhaps, please let me know. If you haven't done the like, share, subscribe thing, make sure you do it. Stay up to date with all the cool stuff we're doing. We have a new video coming out soon. And until then, we will see you next Thursday right here. Same time, same place. Bring your questions, bring your laptop. We'll see you then. Bye, everyone.